I was 23 years old. My friend's like, I'm moving to Taiwan. I'm like, that sounds cool. Let's do that. Got on the airplane, never went back. I was living in an apartment. My friends, they had gone at this point. A Taiwanese kid had moved in. He was about 18 years old. My computer's on the couch. I leave, I come back, and my computer's gone. That was my one giant culture shock. I met my first girlfriend here in 2011 on the subway. Her parents were strict. They didn't know who I was. She never told them that she had a boyfriend.
Cole Fogel here, and today I am interviewing, what's your name, sir?
Teddy Lai.
Where are you from originally?
I'm from Los Angeles, California.
Like Hollywood?
Nearby.
How many years have you been in Taiwan?
12.
What brought you here originally?
I graduated from college and it was 2010, so it was pretty much right after the financial crisis, and job prospects for my major weren't very bright. I studied history, so not much in terms of being able to get work right away. Pretty much the only viable option would be like get more training, go back to school. So at that point I was kind of working odd jobs. I was teaching surfing, I was working in a restaurant, and I was working at a retreat center. So I was thinking like, okay, do I want to go back to school? Maybe I want to become a doctor. I was into yoga and like trying to have like this holistic healing approach towards things. I was interested in Chinese medicine. Maybe I can bring some of that into a clinical setting.
Like to become an MD?
Become an MD, like a family doctor. But that would mean I'd have to go back to school for a long time. I was 23 years old. My friend's like, I'm moving to Taiwan. I'm like, that sounds cool. Let's do that. Got on the airplane, never went back.
What was that first year like?
Oh man, it was so much fun.
What year was this?
This is 2011 in a really shitty apartment in Taipei. Across the street on a very busy intersection. Trucks going by all the time. It was wet. I think it rained like every day for 3 months. Like I remember I'd go to the gym and like work out and my shirt would be sweaty. I'd hang it up. And eventually at one point I'm like, why are these like black, what's this black stuff? And then I look closer and it's just growing mold.
From the humidity?
From the humidity and like the sweat. Yeah. In California, you put it up, it would dry in 2 hours. Yeah. So that was not used to that. The apartment was very dark. The landlord had a room in the back of the apartment that he could lock but wasn't using it. He never came back, but it was always like the option that he could just show up at any point and use the room. But he never came back, only when we moved out. And I finally saw the inside of the room and it looked like it was a time capsule from like 1980.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because it had like a picture that was like Miami Vice, but actually probably from back then, you know, like palm trees with like a girl in a bikini.
So in other words, he lived there
30 years ago.
Before you guys moved in and just never changed that room. Or he was a time traveler.
We lived with a time traveler. Yeah.
Maybe.
Could have been.
Have you ever experienced in your 12 years of living in Taiwan, or maybe the first year, culture shock?
Yes, I have. And it was probably like year 2 or 3. My friends, they had gone at this point. A Taiwanese kid had moved in. He was about 18 years old, and he was going to go to college in Taipei. And he needed somewhere to stay before he moved into the dorms. So he was in his room. And I was dating somebody, and we were like hanging out. And then the trash truck came. And then we go out to throw the trash out. My computer's on the couch. I leave, I come back, and my computer's gone. So I'm like, who could have done this? Yeah. And my girlfriend's like, let's go check the CCTV camera outside. Let's go to the police station. And we go down to the police station, and fortunately there was a CCTV camera angled at our entrance of our apartment. Oh. And then we're looking at the camera, and then we knew what time it was because the trash truck comes at the same time. So we're like, okay, 7:15, we're looking at the footage. And yeah, lo and behold, the kid's there with obviously with the computer stuck in his shirt. And he stole my computer. And I gave him like 3 or 4 warnings before we went to the police station. I'm like, if you know where it is, like tell me. And he's like, I don't know where it is. But then, you know, obviously he was busted. So he's like, okay, I'll give you your computer back.
So weird. It
was super weird. But what was the weirdest part was he'd also stolen some speakers from my apartment like weeks earlier. he's like, yeah, I stole your speakers as well. I'm like, all right, well, I gotta go get these now. So the police, they take me to his mom's house in a different area. And we get to the house, and when we get to the doorstep, they're like, okay, it's time for you to go get the speaker from mom's house. Whoa. And I'm like, me? Like, why me? Like, I just came along for the ride. That's your job as the cops, to go get the speaker.
Yeah, that's so weird.
And they're like, no, like, if we go into the house and the mom sees the police, he's gonna get embarrassed and he's gonna lose face.
Mienzi.
Yeah, mienzi. And I'm like, I don't care about his mienzi. Like,
oh, that's weird.
I don't care about his mienzi. He should lose mienzi for stealing something.
The speakers. Who cares about him losing things?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's definitely culture.
That was a culture shock. I was like, I was shocked.
There's no way the Canadian police or American police.
No. So, like a week later, I was supposed to go testify in court. So I didn't want to press charges on him. I'm like, he made a mistake. He's young. And the mom came to come talk to me beforehand, and she's like, oh, can you just say it was a prank? Wow. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to say it was a prank. I'll go there and tell him that I don't want to press charges, but I'm not going to say it was a prank.
He needs to learn his lessons.
He does. Yeah, exactly. And a lesson in a way that's not going to fuck his life up, but in a way that's like, this isn't okay. So that was my one giant culture shock.
What has dating been like for you in the 12 years that you've been here?
I met my first girlfriend here in 2011 on the subway, on the MRT. I was going to meet up with a friend of mine that I'd met in a hostel, a German woman, and we were going to go walk around in Dingxi. So the Dingxi subway from Guting to Dingxi is like the longest MRT stop, so you got time. So I saw this, this pretty young woman waiting for the subway, and she was reading Life of Pi in English. So I'm like, oh, she can speak English.
Just before you knew Chinese. Yeah.
Knew maybe about 5 words in Chinese. So I was like, feeling kind of shy, but I'm like, I know if I don't talk to her, I'm just going to be mad at myself for days. So I just, went up to her. I'm like, oh, how's the book? You know, like, what do you think about it? And started chatting. We had about 5 minutes because the subway stop was so long. And by the end, I got her email.
Nice.
Yeah.
This is the beginning of smart technology.
This is before Line. We dated for like 2 years. I think she was a little bit nervous to be like, introduce me to her folks. Yeah. Her family was quite traditional. She never told them that she had a boyfriend. They didn't know who I was. She met my family when they came out here. They loved her. My mom was like, oh, she's so smart and ambitious and cool. Yeah. And now she's happily married to another American guy living in the States. And I was dating someone about 2 years ago. We met on Tinder, a woman that lived in Tainan, and I was in Taipei. I dated her for about a year. And
too much long distance in the end?
Oh, she ended up moving to Taipei.
Oh.
Yeah, she got a job up there. And then we had an interesting relationship. Also really amazing, smart, talented person. Very, very like outgoing, fun, like full of energy, very passionate person. I think it brought out our like disagreeable sides, and we fought a lot. Yeah. And
was it just stupid bickering most of the time? Like,
I mean, I think there was stupid bickering under the subcontext of like, why aren't you marrying me now?
Oh.
Like, you should propose to me. Part of me where I'm like, you are amazing, but are you trying to get married to me? Or are you trying to just get married? We ended up breaking up, and then
she got married a week later.
Almost within the span of 8 months, she met some guy, dated, and now is married. There is a lot of divorce in my family. I just want to make sure that if that happens and I do get married, that I'm staying married.
Are you currently in a relationship?
I'm not. I'm very single. So.
Very single. Okay. You know what I would do if I was you? I would remain solo and single, and really work on myself. Not look for it right now, and I would focus on building yourself up to the version you want to be. And that's when she will just appear. She will literally just appear.
What does it mean for you to like work on yourself? What kind of things? Is there certain techniques?
You know, I was talking about loving yourself, because I feel like after you love yourself, then you can bring that love you have for yourself into a partnership with someone else and bring forth your best version to that person. Doing things that you enjoy, like hobbies or things that you enjoy for you. And then when you're living the life that you want to live, I think that the relationship, the woman literally will end up right in front of you because you'll be doing the hobbies and the things that bring you joy, and someone else will be doing the same thing, and you'll meet each other.
That sounds beautiful. Yeah,
so
no, that sounds nice. I think that's what I should do.
What's something you can't get used to about Taiwan after 12 years of being here?
Okay, this one, it's kind of complicated because I know that people wanting to speak and learn English is what gives me a job in Taiwan. But at the same time, I've invested so much time in learning Chinese. Like I just really love speaking Chinese.
But you live in Taipei, so that was your first mistake. If you
I
really want to speak Chinese every day,
you'd live in Kaohsiung or Kaohsiung. No, it's true. But for instance, like yesterday I was getting breakfast at a breakfast shop, and I order in Chinese, everything's fine, and then I go and sit down. The lady comes over with my thing, and she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, it is very hot." And I'm like, "We were just speaking in Chinese.
Yeah.
You could speak to me in Chinese."
And you know what? I've talked to other foreigners about this, and I think a lot of foreigners feel this way.
Yeah.
The ones that speak Chinese well feel this way. The ones that don't speak Chinese well, thank you for speaking English to me.
I definitely appreciate it in the beginning.
Yeah.
And it makes it super easy to move here. And like the first year, 2 years, 3 years, like people speaking English to me was great. But you know, like I've worked in environments where I've spoken Chinese.
How many years did you study Chinese?
Formally, like 2. But then like I would go back and take interpretation classes.
Do you dream in Chinese?
Sometimes, yeah.
You mentioned to me off camera that you've had a job working for the government.
Yes.
Is it like contract work kind of thing?
Yeah, it was, when I was working for the Taidong County government. I was teaching English for about 9 years.
Wow.
And I like teaching English, and I still might teach English in the future. Like, it was actually, I really enjoyed the job. I wanted at the time to try something else, because I like to write. So I was taking like interpretation classes, and while I was doing that, one of our classmates is like, "Oh, the office of the president is hiring." So I'm like, "Oh, that sounds like a cool opportunity. I'll just send my resume in and just like see what happens." Yeah. And I did. They were like, "Oh, come in for the written test." So I was like, "Oh, awesome." So I did pass the written test and then make it to the interview. And I was interviewed by the incoming vice president, Xiao Meiqin.
Whoa.
Yeah, but I didn't know who she was at the time. So it was like 22 people for the interview, 4 people made it. And at the end of the interview, they're like, you know, write down how much you want for the, you know, for your pay. And I'm like, I'll just do it for free. I don't care. Like, I was just so stoked to be there. But they ended up giving the job to my friend. So I moved to Taidong and worked there. And that was like 1 year contract, which after the year, I had the option to renew, but I wanted to move back to Taipei. Just in general, I am grateful to be in this country, and I do like living here, and it's been a blessing.
You have a
YouTube channel. I do, yeah, where I do interviews like this.
Please check out his channel. I hope you enjoyed this episode.
No, thank you for the opportunity. Like, I don't really get this very much, so it's been nice. Yeah, thank you.
Have a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are, and I will see you in the next one. Check out his channel, and
that's a wrap.
That's a wrap. Goodbye, neighbor.